Confidence doesn't happen overnight. So it's really important to know that, because a lot of people feel like, you've been trying to build your confidence for 2 weeks and it's not happening. Well, of course it's not happening. It's only been 2 weeks, right?
Hi, this is Doreen. Welcome to Super with Cooper. We all struggle with self confidence at times, or at least how we can feel more confident in certain situations or in certain periods or seasons in our lives. Today, I invited somebody who has done a lot of work in helping women and in helping people feel more confident. This is a woman who has explored the reasons why people struggle with self confidence and also has worked towards helping women realize how they can be more confident in their own skin, in their own environments, and in their own lives. Now, as a bonus, we're also going to be talking about another hot topic nowadays: mental health and mental wellness. So I look forward to seeing what she has to say. Hi, Sheena, how are you today?
Hi, Doreen. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here today.
Please tell our viewers a bit about yourself, like who you are, what your background is.
Well, my name is Sheena Yapchan. I was born in Cebu City, Philippines, and I moved to Canada when I was 7. But I mentioned I went back for 3 years to go to high school and then came back here again in Canada. So a lot of back and forth. Been in Canada for over 30 years with my family. I've also been, I've done everything pretty much, work a job, have my, be on my own, forge my own path. And now I'm currently, keynote speaker, coach, a podcaster, and also a best-selling author. So I have 2 books with me, if you see it. One's called Asian Women Who Boss Up, and the other one's called International Women of Color Who Boss Up. So they're really amazing books. I also have an award-winning podcast called The Tao of Self-Confidence, where I interview Asian women about their journey to self-confidence. And that's always been a huge mission of mine, just because as Asian women, we're very underrepresented, especially here growing up in Canada and the US. Growing up here, you never saw anybody that looked like yourself. So it was really like, for me, it was really like bad, because I always thought being Asian was not a good thing, and I never felt beautiful. And also, with what's been going on in the world, we definitely need more representation, and the good kind.
I can see that you've put a lot of work into helping other women and other Asians. Well, actually, more of other women, because there are so many women out there whom you're helping, whether they're Asian or women of color or just women who are looking for a way to really feel better about themselves and become more self-confident. So thank you for spending this time with us here on my blog, and congratulations on all the successes that you've had so far. And tell us about perhaps any challenges to self-confidence that has led you towards the path of helping others to become confident in who they are.
So yeah, growing up here in Canada, I never saw anybody that looked like me in billboards or on TV shows or in magazines. So I really felt like I was not good enough because I was Asian, because I wasn't Caucasian, didn't have blonde hair and blue eyes. I always felt that was the definition of beauty, and I always felt very small because of it. I was ashamed of being an Asian person at the time when I was a kid, and it wasn't really until in my 20s where I really embraced being Asian. And also just our upbringing, right? As Asian women, we're brought up a certain way. We're always told to never make any noise, do as you're told, put your head down, and just never rock the boat, right? You just follow what you're told to do. Go to school, get married, get a job, and just live your life that one way. For me, I always felt like I always had to follow a certain system to live a certain way of life, and that wasn't really the life that I wanted. And it was actually, I just felt really trapped, right? And I felt really confused, and it was like, is this really what I want to do, or am I just doing it because everyone else is doing it? Growing up in my 20s, like, I wasn't very confident. I was very, insecure, doubted myself a lot, and just never felt enough. And it was one of the reasons why I created my podcast called The Tao of Self-Confidence, because I was trying to find different support systems that really catered to Asian women, but I couldn't find it. Like, there was nothing out there. And so I said, if I wanted something like that, I had to start it, right? Especially when it came to creating representation. Like, if nobody else was doing it, then I had to start it. And I think people don't realize, like, if you want something done, just start it. Even if you start from zero, even if you have no clue what you're doing. That's what really led me to, creating this work and helping Asian women and women build their confidence, because sometimes we just need someone out there to do it, to show them what's possible.
One of the things that I picked up from what you shared was that your environment has really helped shape you into the person that you are, and has also really influenced the work that you do. You mentioned you couldn't find a support system, so you decided to start something, to do it yourself. So that actually leads me to my next question. You noticed these different things about your environment, your reactions to your environment, and that's what also helped you be able to help yourself even better. Now, other women, I don't know, maybe they're not as skilled in being as self-reflective, or maybe they're just getting started on this journey of growth and self-introspection and finding the right support systems. So let's go back to the question of how can you be more self-confident, specifically within the context of what keeps them from being more self-confident. So let me just quickly state the question here. What are some of the biggest obstacles people have towards their own journey towards greater self-confidence, specifically for women or Asian women in particular? What are things that you have observed?
One thing I've really observed is how women see themselves. Because of this, we have a huge confidence gap, right? If, let's say, a man and a woman go after the same promotion, that woman will over-prepare. She knows what she's doing. She's 100%, 110% ready, but still something kind of holds them back, right? They still feel like they're not enough to go after that promotion. While a man, he may be 50% ready and he'll just go for it. He doesn't care what the outcome is, right? Because we're so afraid of failure. We're so afraid of getting rejected. We kind of just end up not doing it because we feel like we might not be enough, even though we are more than capable of getting it. We always see like we're not worthy, we're not good enough. We doubt ourselves all the time. We overcomplicate things. We overthink everything. We want everything, perfect to a T, because we've been, ingrained that perfection is everything, when really perfection is an illusion. So sometimes we just got to go out there and make a lot of mistakes along the way, because we can correct them, right? We can figure out what went wrong, and also just taking action, right? Regardless of what happens. Sometimes it's better to take the wrong action than not taking any action at all. And so it's learning to just fumble along the way, or even when you start something, just because you haven't figured it out doesn't mean you can't figure it out along the way. As women, we like to figure everything first before we start, versus just doing it and figuring out along the way. Now, I know men have an easier advantage because they're seen as different, right? Especially as women, if we go after what we want, we're considered aggressive and too much and ambitious. It's all negative, versus if a man does the same thing, he's considered confident and courageous. And I know there's a lot of inequality still that we go through, and a lot of politics when it comes to getting promotions and getting leadership roles, but we have to start somewhere, right? We got to fight that fight, even if it takes us, a long time. We got to start somewhere. If we don't do anything, it's just going to get worse.
Actually, what you were saying reminded me of an experience that I had years ago when I was still working full-time in corporate, and an office mate of mine, a woman, described me as, she can be nice, but she can be a bitch. And I was really taken aback. I was like, why is this person saying this? And one of my very, very dear friends told me, so this is one of my gay best friends, said to me, my dear, I would be surprised if she was the first one to say that, but he meant it as a compliment. So, what you were saying earlier on, that women are sometimes afraid to go after what they want because there are a lot of negative connotations about us being certain about what we want, about who we are. When it comes to men, it's like all praises. My goodness, that guy is so confident. Oh, he really knows what he wants and he goes for it. But as a woman, if you know what you want, as you said, it's like you're either too much, or you're being a bitch, or you're being insensitive or nasty, or maybe she's cranky today because she has her period or something. I mean, you have all of these negative things. And the worst part is sometimes it's women who also say
Yeah.
those things about women.
Yeah, that is a huge problem, especially in the workplace, right? Women get jealous, and I've experienced it. And sometimes instead of fighting with them, you just have to like kill them with kindness, right? You just got to kill them with kindness, because like eventually they're gonna be like, you know, why am I fighting with this woman? She's being nice to me. She hasn't done anything to me, and they end up feeling bad, right? Because I've been there too. Like I've fought with, you know, I've had to battle with women who get jealous, who would do things that were like, why are we doing this? This is very petty, right?
Yeah.
But I figured, you know, fighting back like the way they didn't help, and just sometimes you just got to kill them with kindness, right? If they call you that word, you know, then that's it, right? We have to learn to just kind of let it go and keep moving on. And I know sometimes it's easier said than done, but that's why you do the work, so that when these things come up, you don't feel like you let that name go, and then you just keep moving on, or you embrace that name. You're like, if it has to take me being a bitch to get, you know, to create that change, then yes. And you know, sometimes people might take this the wrong way, but I'm saying like sometimes you just gotta embrace these names and just keep moving forward towards your vision, right? You're creating something positive or making a change for women, because I believe when you can uplift women is when we can really like, you know, bring up the economy, change the world. Even this whole pandemic, most of the countries that handled this pandemic well were women.
What are some practical tips that you would like to share with Filipino professionals on how they can become more confident?
I always say every person's different. I say, you know, pick certain things, you know, try everything out, right? And then you pick what works for you, right? Because what may work for me might not work for yourself. And confidence doesn't happen overnight. So it's really important to know that, because a lot of people feel like, you know, you've been trying to build your confidence for 2 weeks and it's not happening. Well, of course it's not happening. It's only been 2 weeks, right? So I think people don't realize, you know, just taking the small actionable daily steps is what really yields the big result. Also, mindset is very important. So, you know, start with your mindset first, right? Some of the things I do is I listen to positive audio in my sleep. I read self-help books. I love reading people's stories. That's why we have these books, you know, Asian Women Who Boss Up and International Women of Color Who Boss Up, because I love reading, you know, the things that they were able to overcome to be the woman that they are today. Or even surrounding yourself with like-minded people. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I think that's the biggest thing, actually, especially as in, you know, in Asian culture, asking for help is such a taboo, because it feels like we're asking for a handout, but we're not. Like, you don't have to be in this journey alone. I mean, join a group, hire a coach, find a mentor, find a support system. It's okay to ask for help, because that could help you build your confidence a lot faster, right? Especially when it comes to trying to overcome your fears, or learning to talk to a person, or interviewing for a job, right? I mean, you don't have to do these things alone.
Mental wellness or mental health is also a hot topic right now. And it's a topic that you also spend time on, like talking to people about. So I was wondering, what are the usual reasons that you come across as to why Filipinos, if possible, Filipino professionals or professionals in general struggle with mental health issues?
First off, I just want to say I'm not a mental health expert. These are all just things that I've observed. So I just wanted to point that out.
Sure.
It's just really in an ethical standpoint, like these are just things that I've observed, especially now, you know, working from home, there's a lot more stress. People think when you work from home, you know, you get to do a lot more. You're supposed to do more work because you don't have to sit in traffic. But, you know, that really puts a lot of stress in people, especially when the internet's not always the best connection. You know, things tend to work a lot slower. You know, you get more calls, you're doing more Zoom meetings, and people get Zoom fatigue, right? So a lot of us feel very stressed, and sometimes maybe some of the companies say, oh yeah, we're here for you, but they're not there for you. if that makes any sense. And so I think that's why a lot of professionals, especially who are working from home, are dealing with this mental well-being. We're trapped at home. We have more work than we can handle being at home. And we have no outlet to just let it out sometimes. And sometimes you just have to find an outlet. Even if it's 5 minutes a day, do it, right? It's better than nothing. So that's what I think. Like for me, I've talked to a lot of people who are just really stressed from working at home, who feel like, they bring their work, they literally bring their work home, right? Instead of working 8 hours, they're working 13 hours. And the boundaries are gone, right? Because before, you go to an office, you do your work 8 hours a day, you come home, right? You can leave your work in the office, but when your work is at home, you have to find certain boundaries to say, no, this is my cutoff time. I have to do this for my mental well-being. And I know it's easier said than done, but it takes, little steps to create that.
You mentioned the word boundaries, that it's important, especially for people working from home. Can you please give us some quick tips on how we can set those boundaries between work and life and how to find balance in between?
To be honest, I don't know if there's such a thing as balance, right? Especially when you're an entrepreneur, there's going to be days when you're going to be working nonstop, right? And that's okay, right? What is balance? Like, what is balance really? For me, balance is how you see it, right? If you can set, 10, 20 minutes to yourself, that's fine, right? It's better than not doing anything. Yeah, I know I get this question a lot, like, how do you balance everything? I'm like, I don't think there's such a thing as balance. That's why seeking help is really important. If there's something that you can pay someone to do, then do it, right? To help you lessen that workload. Or, if there's more than one person in your house, delegate certain things that they do so that you're not doing everything, right? So maybe one's doing the dishes, one's doing the laundry, little simple things like that. Like learning to work together and being a team. And also maybe just having that, like I mentioned, having that outlet, being able to take care of yourself, have self-care, because self-care is really important. Or just, one of the things I like doing is journaling, just, writing down all my thoughts. Just having that moment to just mind dump everything. So if I'm not journaling, I'm jogging outside or working out. And also saying no to the things that, doesn't serve you, right? Like it's okay to say no sometimes, right? I know as, professionals, we feel like we have to say yes to everything because we're afraid of getting fired. But if it, like for me, like, if it happens, it happens. And sometimes when one door closes, another one opens.
Any final tips for professionals in terms of how they can keep mentally fit and healthy?
I think just working on it every single day is really important. And, seeking help when you can. Mm-hmm. If you can find someone to talk to, that'd be great. You don't, whether it's a mental health, like there's no shame in seeking professional help. But if you have, great friends you can talk to, that's great. If you have a family that can understand, because I know sometimes it's hard for family to understand when we're going through mental health issues. Most families either ignore it or think that, you shouldn't be going through this. Is something wrong with you? Because nothing is wrong with us. Or also just listening to podcasts or audios or watching videos that can help you with your own mental well-being, right? They're there for a reason.
Thank you so much, Sheena, for your time. Really appreciate it. Great insights. And of course, I wish you all the best in your many endeavors.
Well, thanks for having me. It was really great being here today.
There you have it. Don't forget that perfection is only an illusion. And it's important to go out there, believe that you are capable, and show others what is possible. I'll catch you again next